That's right. Greetings, fellow armchair Imagineers. Tiki here.
And Blue Dragon 5.
In honor of Black History Month, we like to showcase the great black contributions to pop cult to the pop cult. We should rehearse this.
Yeah.
Let's go again, Dragon. I'm terribly sorry, folks. Okay. Take two. This is like breaking the fourth wall, like the end of the movie. I promise I'll get it right this time. Greetings, fellow armchair Imagineers. Tiki here.
And Blue Dragon 5.
In honor of Black History Month, we like to showcase the great black contributions to the pop culture landscape as we know it.
This year we'll be celebrating the milestones, heroes, and artistry depicting the black experience.
So without further delay, let's explore the history of Blazing Saddles
Watch.
on Black History Heroes. Okay, so Dragon, watching this movie, like I just referenced the big fourth wall break. I know that you were looking forward to getting my reaction to it. I told you I hadn't seen it in a long time. Dragon, there's no way that I've actually seen this movie all the way through.
Really?
What goes down in the third act. Like, I am now convinced that because I know that I've seen bits and pieces of this movie on TV during my childhood. But I am convinced that I have never actually seen the third act of this movie because holy shit, is it freaking genius. This is one of the best comedies ever made. We're going into dicey territory on it. Maybe Theme Park Priest has said he's wondering how they feel it's aged. Frankly, I think this is aged like fine wine in a lot of respects. Just when you look at it as pure satire, and I'm really excited to break it down. So, Dragon, let's just get a disclaimer out of the way first. I don't want to get too ahead of ourselves. So, Dragon, as has been a running gag with Black History Heroes, we'd like to remind the audience that we are, in fact, the whitest men on the internet.
Precisely.
And Dragon, what analogy do we use to display that?
Well, I like to say we're whiter than David Hyde Pierce skiing during a blizzard.
So it just so happens that this year we have a visual aid.
Oh wait, we had a visual. There we go.
There we go. All right.
So, folks, when you think of Black History Month, I want you to think of this.
Folks, this is us. This is us.
Yep. Anytime you think so, you want to be an Imagineer in Black culture, think this, because this sums us up to a T. This is us.
So,
It might be more snow, but essentially, basically, imagine Rabbit in a snowstorm with a little bit of David Hyde Pierce peeking out. It's another visual option we considered, but, wanted to go with the actual analogy there.
So essentially, this movie definitely has some dicey subject matter. So just please just see to this image that is our we're doing our best.
Basically, it's look to the chart. If you have any questions, like are they qualified to discuss this? Not remotely, and there's our proof.
Okay, just to shout out some comments here. Little Blue said, I'm not going to miss out on this one. See you in 5 hours. Well, you're not here yet, Little Blue. Where are you? Where are you? Calling you out. I'm just kidding. Theme Park Priest says he wonders how we feel that he... you're right there. You're right there. Okay, cool. Okay, so Theme Park Priest will definitely talk about the how it's aged thing. Like I said, just to get into it, I think that this movie is pretty incredible as far as like looking at it from a cultural point of view. Okay, we got Code Geass anime fan. He's saying, I was watching your review of the theatrical cut of Justice Leagues, and in other words, I had to pause Dragon and Tiki for Dragon and Tiki. Well, I appreciate it, Code Geass.
You could listen to it at the same time in like two tabs,
I guess
in stereo.
Okay, he says, I have to give credit to Mel Brooks for directing Spaceballs, the only Star Wars film that I've ever enjoyed watching. Yeah, I mean, I've never been the biggest Star Wars guy. I mean, I give credit where credit's due to the original trilogy, but, it's not your thing. I totally understand. Okay, anyways, Little Blue says, Niles, watch me, Frasier. Frasier. Watch out for that, Niles!
Apparently, it's kind of Frasier mixed with Jay Ward.
God. Okay.
Niles, watch out for that.
Oh yeah, Young Frankenstein is also 50 years old this year.
Yep.
We have done a retrospective on Young Frankenstein in the past, Little Blue, so
Yeah.
that is going to be in our archives if you want to check that out. All right, so Dragon, let's get down to brass tacks here. What is your thesis on the movie?
So, Blazing Saddles, it's a Mel Brooks classic. Some of Mel Brooks's best stuff, I feel, looks at history, looks at looks at history, like kind of like the great works of history. Again, go-tos being like big milestones in history and such. Like we have Blazing Saddles, which is the Western. You have History of the World, Part One, which is a little bit of everything, and Young Frankenstein, looking at the Frankenstein story, obviously, and then even look, it looks like Spaceballs. Spaceballs again taking kind of like a American kind of film cinema kind of history with Star Wars. So.
I mean, honestly, even up to Robin Hood Men in Tights is still kind of like that same approach.
I mean, honestly, if you ever look at like the list, if you ever look at the list of things that Mel Brooks has done, you'll notice the few stragglers in his filmography. If you ever look at them, I have not watched them because again, they're not the go-tos like the ones we just mentioned, but when you look at them, just from an outsider looking in, like, oh boy, I wonder if I should watch this Mel Brooks movie. I mean, I'm not saying we should judge based on Rotten Tomatoes, but it does imply to me that, the films that do not have that clever satirical edge or kind of parody thing going on, they seem to kind of have a bit of a dip for Mel Brooks. At the very least, Mel Brooks is at his strongest when he's kind of tackling something that we all know like the back of our hands in a way we've never seen it before.
Sure.
Which again is really, I think, where he excels. And like this film, looking back, I do think it absolutely holds up. At the very least, even if certain parts of it don't hold up, it's ridiculously enjoyable and funny. And it's the fact that the film was so, again, it's Mel Brooks's films do harken back to the first film he ever did, which is The Producers. And The Producers, at its core, is I'm going to make the most shocking, like gobsmacking kind of premise that I can, which, I mean, that's the whole plot of that movie. And
right.
In this case, it's like, I'm going to make a movie that people, like, no one in a million years is ever going to have the guts to make this kind of movie. And, well, lo and behold.
Oh, how right he was.
And that's the thing. And because of that, so ingeniously, he found the perfect way not to, I'm not going to say not to date himself, but not to to keep the film relevant all these years later,
Yeah, totally.
Or it's like, it's not wrong. Sadly, it's not wrong. So it's funny, it's meta, it's unafraid. It's a completely unafraid, which is so darn admirable. It's like basically the fundamental thesis of this film is Westerns are cool and racism is dumb. That's put that on the poster.
Yeah, basically, the whole movie is essentially like a series of skits that come down to that very premise.
We're talking 74, the 250-year films. I mean, look. My heart of hearts, it's no Young Frankenstein. I love Young Frankenstein though, so I mean that's tough competition. But this
I don't know, Dragon. I don't know. I think I got to put this above Young Frankenstein. But like you're right, it is tough. It's tough competition. But I think that this is it's a comedy masterclass, and Young Frankenstein is too. But I feel like Young Frankenstein is almost like it's so caught up in being a universal parody that this is like distinctly its own thing, and that's kind of like that to me is like gives it the edge. Where obviously Young Frankenstein, one of the best homages to Universal monster movies, one of the best homage movies ever, but this just has so much originality going for it.
I'll go as far as to say this to you. I'll meet you in the middle here. I'll go as far as to say this film might be one of the best standalone Mel Brooks movies in terms of this thing. Like Young Frankenstein, obviously, you're right. There's a lot of it's in terms of the parody, like Blazing is the parody of a genre, like High Anxiety. It's specifically Hitchcock. Silent film. You have like a lot of very direct silent film influences. Again, doing his own thing, but still, just obviously you're going after the greats on that one. But Blazing Saddles, it's very much. It's an original premise. It's something that is stood the test of time. Is like kind of Mel Brooks firing at all cylinders, but also being something you kind of look at on its own in a vacuum before it's like, man, why can't the Frankenstein movies be more like this? Or
right.
Come on, Del Toro, put some Young Frankenstein in there.
Oh my god. Oh man, you have to imagine that Del Toro is going to include at least one little Young Frankenstein Easter egg. You got to assume, you got to hope.
I would love to think so.
All right, to shout out some comments here. Let's see. Kogia says, "Have you ever heard of the film Paws of Fury? Legend of Fury." God, that title is painfully redundant. Yeah. It's like Monster, Dahmer, the Jeffrey Dahmer story.
I was bringing Dahmer into our comedy talk. You know
that. Let's see, Dragon. Have you ever heard of this movie? Because I have.
I saw the trailer for it, but I did not see the movie itself. I did not know it was a full-on Blazing Saddles parody. That I did not predict.
Yeah, it's pretty notorious. I definitely haven't watched it, but I know of its existence. I have heard of it. Okay, we have Z and K in the chat. Good to see you. They're saying period pieces essentially are what he does best. Absolutely. I think that's and honestly, Young Frankenstein is very much a period piece in its own right. Like, especially with all the black and white and stuff, like stylistically.
Oh yeah.
Okay, let's see. The comment I made, Little Blue saying, was Fraser and Niles. That was obviously to go along with the pick you showed of Niles skiing. I'm pretty sure Niles would not last long skiing.
No, it wouldn't.
Little Blue, I will raise you this, though. The character, Niles Crane, would not last long skiing. But this right here, this is all David Hyde Pierce, baby. This ain't Niles Crane. This is David Hyde Pierce.
And our experience can at least take us 10 years.
All right. Okay, let's see. Okay, Kogias. Yeah, I remember. It is the Legend of Hank. That's good because that is a very redundant title.
If it where's the
Legend of Fury?
See, where's the Hank Hill parody of that? That's what I want to see. I just want to see
You're right. Where is the Hank Hill parody of that? I wonder if that exists. Oh God. Yeah, we just inserted David's head. Yes, that's exactly what we did in Little Blue.
To be fair, okay, Little Blue, I want to make clear. I did look high and low for actual photographs of David Hyde Pierce skiing, and sadly, he's at ski lodges, but he's not skiing. So,
granted, I do think this approach is a lot better than what my original suggestion was. And Dragon, I hate to even admit it, but I was like,
I looked into
your skiing, put it in the AI algorithm. You never know. I hate to admit that I went that far.
Yeah.
Anyways,
I thought that was a long shot anyway, because I don't think AI necessarily works like that. Like that exactly. I don't think that's how
honestly, it works. Dragon, I knew it wasn't probably something that we were going to actually use. I was just curious to see what the algorithm would have actually come up with.
Anyway. Okay.
All right. So, Dragon, yeah, let's get into some background.
Yeah, so background's really neat on this. So basically, there's a writer, the original writer of this, guy wrote a script, Andrew Bergman, wrote a script that was originally called Tex X, like Malcolm X, like Tex X.
That's clever.
Which then was refurbished into the catchier Black Bart, which again, not a bad title, pretty solid. Premise, essentially, the core root of this whole thing was represented, but it wasn't as over the top. Basically, it was like, the premise is it's 1974 and 1874. That was the premise. Like, okay, let's just take the modern, like the 70s landscape and just put in the 1800s. Alan Arkin originally was supposed to direct this, and guess who was supposed to play Bart?
Oh, I don't know.
Okay, so originally there were two people that are supposed to play Bart. Okay, in this version,
Pryor?
Well, he was the second one. Tiki, yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. We'll
get there. So okay. Initially, James Earl Jones was
James Earl frickin' Jones.
Now, mind
really?
you,
I would have not guessed that.
This is before it became an all-out comedy. This is like just going to be kind of a funny western. Okay,
that's nuts.
So then it was like, so it was probably be. I'm saying it was going to be a comedy, but you would have had like probably been a little bit more traditional western, but again with like kind of a 70s kind of edge to it. So the writer suggested that, I'm sorry, actually a lot of this in terms of the casting and director, that was the studio. Like, okay, we'll go down Arkin for this. We've got James Earl Jones, for this. And this is James Earl Jones pre-Star Wars too.
Of course, of course.
And then the writer said, "Hey, why don't you get Mel Brooks to direct this? Mel Brooks at this point he'd done 2 films. He did The Producers, which is his big splash, and then 12 Chairs, which again one of the dips in the Mel Brooks. That's what I'm saying. This was his third. Blade and Saddles was his third film ever. Anyway, so they get Mel Brooks. Mel Brooks says, "Okay, I'll do it, but I want to rewrite it. I want to rewrite and basically do it as a parody. I want to get a parody of the Western, where I want it to be basically." He wants to nail down kind of the feel of the Western and kind of break all the rules along the way. And he wanted Final Cut, and he got all those things.
Oh yeah.
So it was basically worked like a writer's room on the small screen. It was Mel Brooks, Norman Steinbrenner, I believe, and Richard Pryor. So Richard Pryor is in the writer's room on this. And originally he was going to star, and that's why he was in the writer's room. So originally he was going to have Richard Pryor in the writer's room, and he was going to play Black Bart. The problem was that he was a little unreliable at the time. He was a little wild out there. It's like, he wouldn't show up to the writer's room on time, and they had like the bail him out of situation, essentially not actually bail him out, but he was like, "Richard, where are you? We're supposed to be writing like working on the stuff today." It's like, "Oh yeah, I'm in a different state right now. I need cash to get back."
And this was before Superman 3, so he hadn't really gone to the family-friendly era of his career.
Exactly. This is just Richard Pryor. Basically, fun guy to be around, clever ideas, but again, at least for this project, it was like, I don't know if we can rely on him to be the lead of our film here.
Sure.
So they were looking for other guys. They looked at other comedians like Flip Wilson, and ultimately they went with a great actor, Clavon Little.
Yeah, this guy, do we know him from anything else, Dragon?
I know him from something very special that you have also seen.
Okay.
The big thing I go to with this guy always is he was in the Alf Christmas special, and he was wonderful. He was Mr. Foley, the black maintenance man, who was also had the very emotional role in that. He was the heart of that whole thing. Wonderful actor. He also popped him another Christmas thing, I think it was not. I don't know if it was the Waltons or the not the Waltons Christmas, but the God, I'm blanking. There was another Christmas special he was in. Anyway, the point being, I think he might have been the Waltons. Anyway, he great actor. So he's phenomenal choices. And it's so weird because when I think of him, he looks so different in the Alf Christmas special than he does here.
Yeah, I think his performance here is just so freaking multifaceted, man. Just as far as the comedy goes, I mean, it's really just like a triple threat as far as like what he's able to accomplish.
Oh, absolutely. There's a lot of thrust on his shoulders too, because he's a dashing leading man, and he's also funny, and he's also there's a lot of he's playing a lot there.
A lot of voice work, a lot of physical comedy. Obviously, you have to do the social satire element of it as well.
He's got to be a straight man, but also really darn funny. And essentially,
seriously, it's just like it's a freaking tightrope of a role.
I mean, essentially, he's playing Bugs Bunny in this movie, which is priceless.
Right.
And we literalize that in one gag, which we'll get to. Anyway, so here's the fascinating thing. So Brooks, he wanted someone very special for the Waco Kid role. He wanted John Wayne.
Oh my God! Yeah, I've heard of this. Yeah,
he always wanted an old drunk. Again, per the whole alcoholic kind of arc for the Waco Kid. And he wanted a famous old drunk, and he couldn't get it because he went to John Wayne as his first choice, and John Wayne says, he let him down in the most wonderful of ways. Because John Wayne said no because he wanted to, he's a family-friendly cowboy. That's the thing. That was what he was known for, and he knew he couldn't do this material. But he said, "But Mel, I'll be the first one there on opening day." It's like, man, that's a really nice. If John Wayne's gonna say no to your movie, isn't that a wonderful consolation prize?
It is. So I have a little before we pass this up. I like this is a bit of trivia I never get the chance to do. So, Dragon, did you know that John Wayne was the first person to ever ride the Knott's Berry Farm log ride?
Wait, really?
Yes. Opening day, he was the first guest on the Knott's Berry Farm log ride. Him and his son.
I wonder what other theme parks John Wayne liked.
But honestly, Knott's Berry Farm is kind of like where my knowledge of Western sort of begins and ends. So, fun
Nice.
connection there.
All right. So while Brooks is working on this, he's also in the planning stages of Young Frankenstein, because again, those came out in the same year. Both came out in '74, just on the later side with Young Frankenstein. So he and Gene Wilder are working very close together because they very much were like the heart and soul of that movie. And he was just basically telling Gene Wilder about this movie that he was doing, and he offered him the part of a Hedley Lamar. So, like, would you like to play? I was like, no, I don't want to play Hedley Lamar, because he read the script and he thought it was wonderful. And he's like, I want to play the Waco Kid. He's like, no, Gene, you're all wrong to play the Waco Kid. And so eventually this kind of ends up being like, okay, he's absolutely, like, really, Mel Brooks kind of up against the wall in terms of finding the right person for it. And Gene Wilder is persistent, and eventually he read for the role, and it was perfect.
Yeah, I mean, all due respect to John Wayne, but let's just say I think if John Wayne would have been in that role, I don't think this movie would have aged.
Can you really imagine John Wayne hanging upside down?
No, I can't, Dragon. I really can't. I mean, it's like, Dragon, if they would have cast John Wayne in this movie, it would have been a fucking production disaster, man. It really would have been it would have been there would be legends about how terrible the production would have been.
Yeah.
All right. So, yeah, Gene Wilder, just freaking inspired choice, I think. And I did not know that he was so persistent about wanting the role. And
that's he really wanted this role. I mean, Gene Wilder had a wonderful analogy for this film. What basically sold him on it, like what his impressions on the film and the script and everything was, that he wanted to do this movie because it smashed racism in the face while making you laugh. That's how he said it. I love that quote.
That's great. That's great. Yeah. And that right there is pretty much like the embodiment of why I think this movie hasn't really aged, honestly.
Yeah. All right. So last few small things here. So you're probably wondering, so there was a lot of trepidation on the set from our our dirty cowboy actors. Using the N-word, and took a lot of convincing from Clavon Little and Richard Pryor, saying, "Look, we know, like, if we're on the street, we beat the crap out of you, but you're West,
right.
Cowboys is the old West. It's there's no movie without it. We understand. Okay, just don't be afraid." There's a lot of that. And speaking of which, a lot of they kind of had to battle the censors all throughout this movie. Because remember, this is in '74, so censorship is kind of at an all-time high. Like we're coming out of the era where you can only have people in one bed. You couldn't put the beds together. We're kind of coming out of that era. I mean, it's. I'm just saying a few.
I mean, yes and no. I just to kind of correct you a little bit.
I'm saying a decade before we were at that point. So.
Okay, yeah, because I'm saying the late '60s was kind of like a watershed moment for anti-censorship.
Yeah, I don't mean last year. I don't mean '73. I'm just saying we're in terms of the Western. The last time you saw a Western, and kind of in that era of the films you would get then,
Gotcha.
Well, the point being, there's a lot of there was a lot of censorship. Mel Brooks faced a lot of ridiculous censorship as well. But thank goodness he got final cut. So that's the thing. He only made one concession. I'll get to that concession later. He had only one concession. It was more out of good faith. He didn't have to do it, but he did it. But that's the thing. They want a lot of, and here's the TV edit. He has he does not have final cut over. So there were edits made on the TV version. But yeah. Anyway,
which might explain some of the black spots in my memory, honestly.
Quite possibly, they'd add stuff in its place as well. There's stuff added to the TV version, stuff kind of oddly censored. Anyway, yeah, that's pretty much it. So yeah, also John Morris, who did the score for Young Frankenstein, did the score for this. So busy year for old Johnny Boy. Okay.
All right. So yeah. So as far as breaking it down, it's do we want to approach it culturally? I mean, obviously there's a lot of great gags that we want to get to as well. So,
well, I guess the place to start just broadly is we got to talk about setting the tone. This is important in all the Mel Brooks kind of parody stuff, but especially for this movie because Mel Brooks, now there's a story that I've seen parodied in other things in terms of you take the standard sheriff plot, right? Of okay, we have the town needs a sheriff. We take the unlike we see in Rango. I mean, for me, honestly, because of the whole railroad component, I do go this Western episode of Jackie Chan Adventures.
course you did. That's
I know.
adorable.
Look, I know. I only bring it up because it's literally.
No,
It's
full
literally,
respect, Dragon. Full respect, honestly.
and
Honestly.
again, I think it probably goes without saying that whole episode's in reference to two things. Is in reference, I think, in premise to Blazing Saddles,
Oh,
but it's I guess also broadly in premise like Jackie Chan in the Old West to the Shanghai Noon.
sure.
Anyway,
Yeah, I think the new sheriff in town thing. I definitely think that it takes there's some inspiration from. I'm sorry. I'm kind of getting distracted about the comments here. Keep going, Dragon. I'm sorry.
anyway,
Lost
so this
thoughts
thing
on comments.
it captures the feel of the Western with the music, the cinematography. Like we're in the old, we're in the West. We see like the plains and everything, the mountain plains, the desert. It's. But again, instantly though, we call out, and again, similar to like what we would do the things that are paying tribute, and homage to places like Million Ways to Die in the West. Like the key factor in any doing a Western comedy is point out the flaws of the once aggrandized, historically. There's so much reverence and nostalgia for the Western, but when you really look at it, it's like, yeah, we never really highlighted. Yeah, there would any of the railroad guys always a lot of racism going on there. A lot of,
Yeah, I love how the opening gag of the movie is very much just how hard the labor was on the railroad, where it's like literally just like a guy passes out and it's like dock him pay for sleeping on the job.
yeah. So again, like we have like again the N word right up the top. And again, I'm not saying I swear to God, I don't know if it's like necessarily it can't possibly be like the first time the N word's been said in a motion picture, right?
Can't possibly. I
Right.
can't imagine.
That's the thing, but we do have another. There is a first in this movie, though, and that makes me wonder if perhaps this might have been another. But we'll get there when we get there. But yeah, so it's here's the thing: we have like we kind of have that to like kind of shake at it, like okay, this is not the typical Western you're expecting. We're gonna call
Right,
out,
right.
again, it's gonna feel like the '70s and the 1870s. We're going to apply a Looney Tunes logic to it, which I found to be such a great choice. Where we're going to make, it's kind of the Bugs Bunny logic. We're going to make fun of the bully, or in this case, the oppressor, and we're going to hold a mirror up to how silly they are with the old Camptown Racy gag at the top. Again, like our black rail workers are really good singers, like almost like the Nat King Cole or the Temptations variety here. Take your pick. And on the flip side, you have this bunch of like idiot dancing yokels to Camptown Racy, which they're expecting the
That's
black
not
people
what
to
I'm
sing.
talking about. I
I'm talking
want a
about a
song.
song.
God.
How great! The actor who plays Lyle. He has such a perfect face for a
Oh,
western.
he's got yeah, absolutely. I'm glad you bring that up specifically because he really does. He really does. Specifically for a western like scumbag villain.
You know,
He's got a very punchable face, Dragon.
oh, of course. Yeah, Tiki. I think it goes with saying some of the great cinematic classics, and the one I'm going to cite does feature a western character in it. There's a lot of you agonize over what the first line your character is going to say is. Basically, the first, in this case, the opening gag of the film. But your opening, whatever your opening of your movie is, it's going to be important. It's going to set a tone because the first thing people are going to imprint on you. Look at Toy Story. It's like, what's Woody's first line in the movie? Pull my string, the party's today. You know, it sets a tone. You kind of like, okay, that's you formed an impression on your character here. In this case, like we have a really clever opening joke with the whole singing thing.
Yeah, it really kind of sets the Bugs Bunny tone. I think between that and the quicksand gag, I feel like this whole opening act is almost kind of like a little like Bugs Bunny short in its own right. You know what I mean?
And again, it's like even with the humor, like with the quicksand gag, it is horrifying when you look at it. If you zap the comedy out of that, it's like they save the
That
hand.
was a $450 wagon.
They save like the hand cart wagon versus the actual railroad workers.
All right. So speaking of which, Dragon, we got to call out, as ZK says in the chat. What in the wild world of sports is going on?
So let's talk about Slim Pickens.
Slim Pickens, my God, he's not chewing the scenery, Dragon. He's having like a 5-course meal out of the scenery. I mean, he is just like just on fire with just
yeah.
being the most absolutely detestable guy you could possibly imagine.
He got
It's great.
Not 5-course meal ticket. He got like the 72-ounce steak challenge.
Yes,
scenery.
absolutely.
Just keep bringing it on. I'm gonna eat it all.
I love that.
I'll eat it here on one side. I'll get my picture on that wall. And a free T-shirt.
So yeah, I think he's just one of the all-time great comedy villains. I think he's in that like upper echelon where it's like he's totally hateable, but he's also
essentially
just
Krunk.
like what?
He's Krunk as a Western lout.
Well, I don't think he's Krunk because
I bring up Krunk because of later we have this. We can do that with him, but at the same time, when he's with Hedy Lamarr, he's like a wounded puppy.
I'm just saying, like, he is not like this is a very outwardly malicious man, Dragon.
That is fair. It's so weird, though, yes,
you are not giving Kronk enough credit for being a decent human.
Well,
being.
I guess I mean that we pair him with the lead villain, and he's just these.
Okay, I get what you're saying in that regard. Yeah,
big,
that kind of the dynamic.
Sure. Has a lot of the funny lines, and then we have like moments of kind of sympathy with him very briefly in this case, but you know.
I get what you're saying. All right,
I'm
gonna go ahead and shout out some comments here. Appreciate you guys for all the engagement. Okay, now guys, did Willy Wonka come out before or after this, Dragon?
Yeah, I think it had to be after this. I think.
Yeah,
Google. I know. Actually, wait. No. Okay, wait.
It's 71.
Yeah,
so
no, you're right.
This was after. Okay, so that's interesting, and I feel like that kind of like post Wonka sort of it does lead to the vibe of his performance because I feel like he plays this character a little off kilter, but we'll get to that. We'll get to that though.
Yeah, because I realized after I said that, wait a minute, we did the anniversary of Wonka, which came before this anniversary.
right.
50, so there's no way this could come out.
Logic, math.
Yep.
But yeah. It would have been kind of fun to have like some sort of chocolate reference in this movie for Gene Wilder, but yeah, maybe it would have been too on the nose at the same time because think
we had a Candy Graham, but we couldn't give him that gig.
Oh my God, that's true. We do have a Candy Graham. Okay, we'll get into that. Candy Graham.
Candy Graham from Mongo. Candy Graham from Mongo.
Oh my God.
All right, so
hold on. Sorry. We just got. I don't want the comments to back up here. So, yeah, ZNK is also mentioning it's the height of the blaxploitation era around the middle of the 70s in terms of censorship. So, yeah, for sure. And there's a lot of blaxploitation in this main character that we'll get into as well in a positive sense. Let's see. Little Blue says maybe not trying to make it canon, but yeah, that would have been funny if the film did a Wonka joke. Yeah, for sure. Okay, let's see. Kokia says the film should have had a scene where Harvey Korman's character says he's great at playing the kazoo.
Speaking of
oh God, ZNK says 72-ounce steak challenge for all his scenes, not just the whole film.
Because I'm hungry.
Every single goddamn scene is going to be another 72-ounce steak.
Forget cut the check. Help me cut the steak.
Okay. I genuinely hope this is the birth of a new running gag. That's all I have to say because the imagery
anytime someone's really chewing the scenery.
ZNK, I am not reading off that last comment. I'll do respect. Let's see. Kogia says you might want to be careful because you could get in trouble for writing stuff. Yeah. Right. So I'm not gonna go there. We have to be careful.
Because again, skiing.
Yeah. Let me just. Yeah. This is exactly why I cannot read off that comment.
There you go.
So
anyway,
just be mindful.
So, Hedy Hedley Lamar.
Yes, yes.
Wonderful Harvey Korman as the bad guy here. Of course, the more they want Harvey Korman, especially in a Western. So Harvey Korman was actually one of the main inspirations behind the voice of Dr. Draken from Kim Possible. So it's every time I watch Kim Possible, I always think of a little bit of Harvey Korman there,
I could
particularly
see
when
that. Yeah,
Harvey
yeah.
Korman's yelling and he's doing like some Carol Burnett stuff. It's a lot of that's kind of like him, a little Dr. Draken in there, a little bit. Anyway, so Hedley Lamar, he orchestrates. Eventually, he orchestrates the Black Sheriff plot because he basically wants the land. He needs to get everyone off the land and basically make sure it's going to be lawless and everything. And okay, well, we need to have we have to have a sheriff, but we need a sheriff who's not going to people aren't going to get behind. So we're going to make it this guy. So we have so many great gags with him. Of course,
The freaking executioner is like straight out of a fucking Python movie, man. He really is.
Boris the Executioner.
Isn't he? Doesn't he feel like something straight out of Python?
No, absolutely he does. And this is what I was talking about earlier with Taggart, with Slim Pickens, where we have a man and his horse get hung outside, and he's a little startled by it. And he's like coddling him, saying, "Oh, it's all right, Taggart. Just a man and his horse getting hung up." Just says in such a reassuring way. It's a act break. It's great. Taggart and his men they attack Rock Ridge and like they're literally punching old ladies.
God,
Seen something so awful. Oh,
yeah, and it's just like kind of like the classic Mel Brooks kind of like winking to the audience. Dragon. Here's the thing about first of all, I remember what I was going to say about the new sheriff thing is that I think it's ingenious that they essentially turned the new sheriff in town thing into basically an insurance scam.
yeah,
essentially.
pretty much.
Like that's really clever, and also just to speak to the authenticity of the Western, you are absolutely right. I think this movie does kind of have like it's got that vibe. It's got the music. It's got the the natural landscapes, the great town set. But then, I mean, as we're going to get into, I think the genius of this movie is just how far it goes in the opposite direction by the end. So, yeah, I'm excited to get into all that. Anyways.
Should we visually transition back to...
Oh my God, I'm sorry. Yeah, we should. Thank you. Right. Thank you.
Oh, fun fact. I love this. They had that cutesy line where this is 1874. You can sue her, with the whole Hedy Lamarr thing. So in real life, Hedy Lamarr did in fact sue this movie.
Oh really? Oh God.
But this is like the loveliest thing I've ever heard. I gotta be honest. Mel Brooks, like without batting an eye after hearing this, he said, "Give her anything she wants."
Oh,
just like she sued him for I want to say I don't know if it was 100,000 or what. I don't know if she ended up with that or not, but she sued him, and it's like, you know what? For all the joy she's brought everyone, it's a great gag in the movie. Just let her have it. Just
that's
give her
great.
what she
That's
wants.
great.
We want this gag. Just let her have what she wants. Don't deprive her.
Mel Brooks. I believe he turned 100 years old last year.
Wait, did he?
I'm pretty sure he did.
I don't think he did. I don't think he's quite like. I wonder if you're right. I hope you're right.
Hold on, I'm going to look it up. Hold on.
I think he's nearing it. I don't think he's past.
He's nearing it. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I know he's nearing it. But...
He is 97. I'm sorry.
See, he's getting there. Though.
I'm glad I fact checked it. Okay.
If he has a birthday coming up soon, then it'll be even closer.
Right.
Anyway. So here's the thing too. It's like, admittedly, to your point, admittedly very thin plot, bolstered by gags and relevancy.
Mm-hmm.
Again, they know this. They know it's a thin plot. I mean, literally, we cut it. We jump over the ending.
Exactly.
Because they knew they wrote themselves when we get to that third act. They knew they had no ending to this story, so they got creative. That's it. Because it is a very thin, just kind of classic plot. It's a very, again, hence the parody. Which is great. Like it's like the great answer. Like, how do you tell the story that's been told 100 times before? Well, we make fun of it.
Totally.
All right. So I guess so. We kind of going on about Mel Brooks. Should we talk about the governor himself?
Yeah. Oh my god, dude.
Just a great. If we just like clip this out, like, this is politics today.
Oh yeah. Oh my god. It's classic. It's aged so well. Again, this is why like stuff like this is why I feel like this movie has aged like fine wine. It really has. You know what I mean?
Yep. Just the fact that like he's, the paddleball gag still cracks me up so
I
much. The fact
know.
that
I know.
we're
I
gonna cheat the
know.
Native Americans out of land with it's getting lazier and lazier with what we're screwing the Native Americans out with. The paddle ball. I love that he can't get the paddle ball to work. Like this one's warped. Everyone, I keep getting a warped one.
Oh my god.
And then there's like it's defective. Show off his like Headley can just do it like seamlessly without any trouble at all. He's got like Mel Brooks, just his timing's perfect, like the girlfriend with the big bazoombas. It's like, oh boys, and his head's always moving throughout the scene. It's the best. Oh, take it, the harumph.
Uh-huh.
I didn't get a harumph from it. That's the timing. It's a great flow.
Watch out for watch your attitude.
Yeah, I didn't get a harumph for you. Give the governor a harumph.
No, I'm sorry. He literally says, "Just watch your ass."
Exactly. Yes, he does. Let's see. Where do you want to go next, Diggy?
I think we should go to Wilder.
Let's do it, man.
All right. So, Dragon, this guy's origin story is fucking captivating, and I'm sure that's what drew Wilder to the part, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, dare I say, I don't say this lightly, Dragon, especially in front of you. I feel like his backstory is almost Batman-esque.
Well, I don't know if it's Batman-esque, but
just in the way that it relates to the like, just as far as like why he would put down the gun.
Right. Well, I love that we have again. So you have an actor of Gene Wilder's caliber. Okay, again, Wilder is like the best, man. And even this is like Wilder early on. This is still Wilder post Wonka, apparently, which again just shows you like the man knows how to play a scene. Which you gotta admit, this I full heartedly agree with you. This is the scene that probably gets him to do them, that makes him want this part so badly. It's the fact that he starts off with like a really great, seemingly dramatic thing. It's the misdirective. You think, oh God, he might have shot a kid. But we turn it on its head so completely, where the kid shot him in the butt like a BB gun, practically.
No, but seriously though, it is a great gag. It is a great punchline to the gag, but I do think there is genuine pathos.
Yeah, no, there is
to what he's saying about the kid, and how everyone would come to challenge him, and then it got to the point where it's like, my God, like what am I doing with my life? Like literally, like a small child wants to duel me. Like this is the man I've become.
Again, and the downside of the Old West.
So honestly, Dragon, it's a legitimately realistic reason why someone would fall into alcoholism.
Yeah, and I do like there's somewhat of a kind of a pacifistic thing to him. I'm not saying obviously when we get to the third act, he's just totally throwing punches, but if you think about it, though, his advice to Bart throughout this is like, don't fight, Mongo, shoot. I'm just going to make him angry, which gives to a better solution. And then you have, he's pieing people in the face during the third act.
Mm-hmm.
He's like shooting explosives. He's not shooting people.
No, exactly. Yeah. Like I love how I love how his sharp shooting is used in a very practical way throughout the movie.
Yeah. So again, it kind of speaks to the arc the character is going through.
Mm-hmm.
And then again, through friendship, he climbs.
He shoots the guy's hands. That's about it.
That's the thing. He shoots hands. He's not killing anyone.
Yeah.
But again, I love that friendship kind of gets him out of the bottle. Like there's the best aspect of this whole film is Bart and the Waco kids' relationship.
Dragon, it's one of the all-time great film bromances.
They have an excellent meet cute, just a wonderful. I love their introduction. Just him Gene Wilder upside down in the drunk tank.
Uh-huh.
It's the perfect exchange. Are we awake? That depends. Are we black? We are. Then we're awake. but we're very puzzled.
Right.
It's so wonderful, and I love how gentle the scene is too. And like, well, what do you're my guest? What would you like to do? Well, I play chess. I screw. Let's play chess. And again, it's a wonderful introduction to and like the whole chess piece thing, just to demonstrate his speed.
That's a great kind of like demonstration of his skill for sure.
I think one of the best deliveries that Gene Wilder has of a Mel Brooks gag is like, see that? Oh, that's a steady hand. Yeah, like shoot with this one.
Yes, totally.
Oh god, it's fabulous, and the whole like the food makes me sick. But here's there's like genuine. While there's comedy, there's like genuine. If you drink like that, you don't eat, you're gonna die. When the way he says when,
yup.
Like, that's why we gave him the candy factory right there. That's the line. Give that man a hat.
No, I'm so glad you pinpointed that exact moment, because it is on like that is what makes this character so compelling, is that it's like because like you said, like Bart throughout the movie, he is Bugs Bunny Dragon. Like the only like there's really no pathos to him, because he's specifically laughing in the face of racism, which I'm sure we'll get into soon. We should get into that element soon.
Yeah.
But he is doing it by literally being a cartoon character. So to have Gene Wilder here to really kind of like have a heart to the movie, like he really grounds the movie, and he really does give it like a human quality.
So to transition between those 2 points, between that and the next point we want to get to with Bart, as you said, I think to me, the best scene in the film is, and I think it just sums it all. We have the little old lady who calls Bart the M word when he's trying to be all nice and cordial, like his first day sheriff. And we just have this perfect scene that embodies the friendship, but also the pathos on Wilder, but also the goal of Bart. Where you have Gene Wilder acting the heck out of this scene, where he's comforting his poor friend, saying, "What were you expecting? Welcome, son. Marry my daughter. These are simple farm people of the land. The Concord of the West. Morons." And they share
That's great. Yeah.
And he gets an honest laugh out of his friend.
I honestly feel like that line is almost like the thesis statement of the whole movie.
It is, and again, it's delivered so flawlessly, and there's the bond there, and again, that circles back to what Bart's all about. So, like the iconic scene of the film, I would say, not counting the campfire scene, which we'll get to, the other iconic scene of the film, the actual iconic scene. It's Bart's introduction, where he's wearing the fun kind of tan outfit with like the Gucci saddlebag, and we have.
The costume design in this movie just throughout is just so freaking on point.
It is, and Count Basie
really is.
And we know they had to have gotten in the Family Guy Blue Harvest Star Wars, especially, they had to have been parodying Blazing Saddles. Like, just you walk out there and there's the bands, so you have Count Basie just
Actually, now that you mention it, that is a good pull. That's a good pull.
Oh yeah, so Count Basie would play in this great, great score. So he's in the fancy duds, Gucci saddlebag, and everything. He comes into town, and he's all smiles. And here's the thing: he's all smiles. He knows this is a smart character. He knows what's waiting for him. He's reaching he's putting his best foot
very
forward.
Bugs Bunny-esque in that way.
Yes, and again, he's playing with, now admittedly, on one hand, maybe pushes the realm. Again, it's a comedy. It's a little silly, but he does even calls us out. Like, man, these people are so dumb. And again, he's calling racism dumb. It's like he pulls a gun on himself to get himself out of Dodge. Everyone has their guns pulled on him. It's like, I'll do it. I'll shoot the N-word.
Oh my god, no. Okay, for real, that moment is just like it's next level comedy. It really is. I mean, just the mix of the physical with the voice, and like how he's going back and forth with himself.
They address it's a dumb joke that really shouldn't work, but he points
out
they are so dumb. The people of this town really are that dumb. But the other thing, the fact that he's using that to his advantage, is calling out like, oh man, like, yeah, the only thing that'll get people on your side in this town is if you're racist to yourself. It's just ridiculous.
ZNK says he's two-facing himself.
Exactly.
He's pulling a Two-Face. He's going full Two-Face.
I mean, that's the thing. Like that gag, it's funny, but maybe a little too Pee Wee Herman, but it works. You know?
Oh, I don't know. I think it works. I mean, honestly, I think it works just specifically because, like we said, like the tone of this character. I think this character is very much meant to be the most broad and the most loud,
But
and
also,
so in that respect, I think it absolutely like just sets the tone for him,
my
especially
favorite
like how he's going to be interacting with these people.
My favorite bit of physical comedy that he did in the whole movie is when he saunters in the town, he gets off the horse, and he pulls down like like a gag, like the whole welcome sheriff thing, like went up like a window
Yeah,
shade.
yeah.
He pulls it down with a smile, like, "Yep, you all cheered for me. You got to stand by it now." He pulls it down, and then his first line to the town people is, "Let me whip this out," and they all freak out. Just the build up and the lack of subtlety and just the racism is just flawless. And again, it's again, I know it's kind of hard not to sound like a broken record on this, but again, it's just the fact that like again we're taking the subtlety out of it. So this is like how everyone essentially the bigoted people feel, but we're just like throwing it in their faces. This is how you are. This is how you feel. This is essentially how ridiculous you sound right now.
All right, so I'm gonna make this comparison
Yeah.
with the disclaimer that I 100% think that Dave Chappelle has, to put it lightly, kind of fallen off the wagon recently, very unfortunately. But Dragon, I feel like this exact principle, the whole like literally laughing in the face of racism, is what Chappelle's early comedy and Chappelle's show, the sketch show, was all about. Like I feel like that was I definitely think he must have probably gotten some inspiration from this movie in that regard, just as far as just like some of the most famous Chappelle show sketches are literally just pointing out the absurdism in the racism. So
Yeah.
interesting little comparison point. I don't think Chappelle the man has aged well at all, but I do think that Chappelle's show has aged rather well.
All right, so
Anyways.
a couple Western tropes we should go. So the infamous bean scene.
Yeah, I'm not crazy about it, honestly.
Well, nor am I, but it is kind of it's a footnote of like again possibly the first fart joke in cinema.
In what?
Possibly in cinema, in just movies, like the first cinematic fart joke.
Yeah, you think so?
Honestly, I really, at the very least, minimum to that degree of like where it's like not just like a subtle like, oh, we're
I mean, to
implying a
that
fart.
degrry, yeah, definitely to that degree. It's
At the
definitely the
very, I'm
most
going to go as
extreme
far as
one
say this.
so
It might be the
far.
first time we've actually heard like an actual, sound versus just like implementation of like, oh, maybe a bubble flies up from under the water. Like that's probably maybe the most
Okay,
they've ever.
okay.
I'm saying it's like first time it's like actually like the whole at the very least to that volume, but I'm thinking maybe minimally it might have at most it might have been the sound. But the first time
So
we've actually
I
heard the sound.
think the approach of the humor in this scene is basically like they're trying to go so extreme with it that it kind of loops back around to being funny. But honestly, I just kind of think it's gross.
Yes, but here's the thing. I kind of side with Z and K on this point because it's an observational thing where it's like in the westerns they always ate beans constantly, yet there was never there's never a single addressment of like, oh man, this is like where we get the adage of like the whole beans thing, where it's probably like an old they have like the whole beans being the musical fruit thing. We've never
Sure,
seen it in
sure.
practice, and then again in a western, like, well, they're gonna eat. So it felt like it was kind of like Mel Brooks having watched westerns, like it's like the thing is 808. I'm like, why don't we ever see that? And then it's like, okay, if we're gonna
Oh
do it,
God,
have it.
Dragon, it's a very Larry David observation, isn't it?
I mean, in a sense, yes. Only gone to the nth degree of like, let's implement it.
Right, right.
So I don't know. Look, I agree that it does go on a little long, but it here's if it was just one, then it would have been, man, we just really worked that in there kind of unnecessarily. But it's like, you know what? I mean, it's if we're gonna go for it, again, it's Mel Brooks. I had another comedic philosophy. If you're gonna ring the bell, just walk up and ring it. Like go on and ring that bell. So it's like we're gonna go there. We're gonna go there.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the funny thing though. On the TV version, okay, this scene is at least in the 70s. I'm sure now they fixed it, but back in the day when this thing first aired on TV, they muted the farts.
Really?
So
Of
it's
all
just
the
like,
things to fucking
so think
censor
about it.
in this
Here's how that
movie.
scene goes in that 70s TV movie. The
That's
guy
so dumb.
the guy burps at the start, and then it's just like guys lifting their legs, and there's no sound, but you still have the rest of that scene playing out. Like Slim Pickens comes out, and he's like, like, oh god, like all this, but again, no sound.
That's ridiculous.
That's what I'm saying, Tiki. So it seems a little better by comparison, doesn't it?
Yes, absolutely. 70 censorship.
Crazy. So, as we to Mongo, Mongo is one of the best introductions ever. Where not him lighting himself on fire. I mean, that's funny. But when he walks in the town, like you can't park your bull there.
Oh,
He
the fucking punching the horse in the
he
face.
punches, and that was another
Dragon,
thing.
that might be the hardest laugh in the whole movie for me. I
Again,
mean, it catches me by absolute surprise every time.
the censors really didn't want that horse punch, but I'm so glad Mel Brooks kept it in.
I mean, it's so Looney Tunes.
Yeah, it's perfect because it's like, hey, well, how do you show this guy's a force to be reckoned with when he can punch not just you, but punch you through your horse?
Oh God! Right.
Okay, he's gonna punch the horse and by proxy you all in one foul swing and just go on his merry way. Like, okay, that delivers exactly what you're looking for right there. Oh boy. All right, let's see. So again, manga, we dispatch with him again, not through physical violence, thanks to the words of like, you're just gonna don't shoot him, you're just gonna make him mad. We use we go full like live action Looney Tunes here.
This is just like fucking ridiculous.
I forgot that we actually had the Looney Tunes music in this scene. I gotta be honest,
Right.
I was thinking the whole scene like, oh my god, yeah, it's just like it's
I
just
mean,
like
the
Bugs Bunny.
voice, Dragon, the voice just fucking kills me.
He's doing Urkel before there was an Urkel.
Right.
When Urkel was a gleam in the eye, he was doing Urkel.
And it's like, so with his characterization, I love how he can switch with Bart, where it's like he can be smooth, he can be like, like genuine, like sympathetic, genuine, but then also just full blown absolute cartoon character.
Like when he's feigning being a hostage, he's playing into the stereotype. Like, oh Lord, he's gonna do it. But yes, so I just like Candygram for Mongo, sign there, please, and he leaves, and then of course the main reason he can go away with that is now you might not be able to tell, but then when Warner Brothers and Looney Tunes actually meant something, this is a Warner Brothers movie, they have access to Looney Tunes. Not anymore, it seems, but they did. Just saying. All right, let's see. I love that he's like tied to the cell, like he's basically crucified to the cell and chains. He's break free anytime once they wake him up. Like, okay, Mongo, and he forms a connection with him too. Just like you were the first guy to ever best Mongo. We respect you.
So I gotta say, all the Mongo stuff with Mongo, like kind of like befriending them, it's very Andy Griffith-esque.
Yeah, it's a little. It's like
a little bit, right? Like it feels like a one-off Andy Griffith character.
Yeah, well, it's like that was the guy.
Well, gee, Andy, we really got to know Mongo. He's not such a bad guy.
Hey, Tiki, was it the guy in the drunk tank from the episode of Anchors that we talked about? Is he a regular in that show?
Or he's a regular, yeah.
Okay, good. Okay, well, there you go, something like that. All right.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. So, okay, here's my hot take of the movie, though. Okay, so a lot of nice things about this movie. There's one thing that I don't think held up as well.
Ooh, okay. Dragon, hold on. Before you get to that, I just want to address some comments before before they get too far down. So ZNK makes a good point. The horse punching gag is so good that they used it as the Great Movie Ride had a montage of great films, and so that was the clip. So that's great. I didn't even know that.
Nice.
Good old horse violence at your Disney parks. You can ride a horse down Main Street, USA, and you can see Black Bart punch a horse. Or I'm sorry, not Black Bart. You can see Mongo punch a horse. I'm sorry. So did you know there are going to be more sequences of Mongo with Bugs Bunny traps?
That I did not know.
There was going to be a dummy with a cannon inside of
it.
That
I didn't know. Okay, that's what he's. I know about that. I didn't know that was like, okay, I guess what he meant. I thought he meant there was going to be more costumes as well. But yeah, that's the thing. So there was a gag where we had a dummy, and it was like you put a like a coin operated thing. You put a coin in there, and basically it shot him with a cannon.
Oh my god,
it was funny. So again, I guess maybe there was more sequences like that in there as well through the town. But I don't know. I kind of respect they kept it short and sweet, but that would have also been kind of funny.
I respect it too.
I mean, it also makes it okay. You got the best of him in one shot, and because you don't want to spend too much time. He's gonna be wrestling this guy the whole. You don't want.
Mm-hmm.
It is on the DVD, yes.
Okay. Little Blue says if they wanted to, they could have had a cameo with Bugs Bunny. Yeah, especially honestly, the Bugs Bunny cameo could have been at the end, which we'll get to. So.
Oh yeah.
All right. All right. Where do you want to go to next?
Because my hot take.
Oh, right. Okay.
Okay. Admittedly, a lot of people are going to probably disagree with me because it did get her nomination. I don't think this is Madeline Kahn's finest performance.
I mean, I don't think it's no Young Frankenstein, but
that's my point. I'm just saying,
I think it's pretty funny.
I mean, this was like Madeline Kahn's big introduction to Mel Brooks stuff. Mind you, again, it's the same year as Young Frankenstein, so I don't know how heavy a point to put on that. Because, okay, well, wait a few months to get Young Frankenstein, but
right.
I think this. Everyone was like, again, the fact that she got an Academy Award nomination for this role, Tiki, the year this thing came out. I think that's overhyped compared.
Yeah, that's a little random. That's a little overhyped. I could see that
compared to other stuff, like just two examples.
Because basically, she just has the two big scenes.
Yeah, she's got like two scenes, and I think there are probably some deleted scenes that may have worked around like a little bit more. There was like some outtakes.
So I will say the musical number, I like it. I think a lot of it is really funny.
Yeah.
Goes on a little long.
That's the thing. So
goes on a little long. It does.
Compared to Young Frankenstein and History of the World, those are okay. That's Madeline Kahn doing her thing. Okay.
Jane also points out Clue.
Well, no, sure, absolutely Clue. I'm just saying with the Mel Brooks stuff, but yes, Clue.
But yeah, she's always a delight for sure.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. She's wonderful, but this her big splash, it's like, man, I don't know if that really warrants because she has like a burlesque vaudeville act that's funny, but Tiki's absolutely right. It goes on too long.
Mm-hmm.
And funny, the one concession that Mel Brooks made in the censorship, in the scene where she tries to seduce Bart, which I do love the subversion there, where she ends up falling head over heels for Bart, which again, I would have liked more of a runner with that afterwards, but again, no time.
Okay, the sausage gag fucking killed me. That's hell
great.
Of a sight gag. It's a hell of a sight gag, man.
So right before that sausage gag, there was going to be, when the lights were out, and it's true, that whole thing. I guess before I don't know, maybe in place of it's true, there was going to be a gag where she wonders if it's true, and then the line was going to be, I hate to disappoint you, Lily, but they're sucking on my elbow.
Mm. Oh God,
that's what the line was going to be. That's the one concession of the okay, we'll get rid of it. So it was like the one bit essentially that he allowed. Like, okay, we'll cut the line in the dark. It's an easy one to cut out. It's supposed to get all their funny lines. I guess that was the logic.
All right, Teddy, I didn't mean to skip over you, man. I'll read your comment out here. Yeah, it is a really excellent movie, but you're right. Quoting it is very hard. You're I feel like Dragon and I are doing the tap dance as we speak. All right,
a little bit. All right, let's see. So, we have a great moment with the Waco Kid where he saves everybody by shooting the hands to protect Bart and the railroad guys, from Taggart and Lyle. There's impressive quick draw. We built up to it, too, because remember, thinking about it, we have the moment where, he draws his fingers on Bart.
I love how cocky he is in this moment. It's a great Gene Wilder performance because I feel like it's the one character who does have genuine pathos in his arc. You know what I mean? It's like you really like to see him get out of his alcoholism and actually become a value to these people and really find his place. You know what I mean? I think it's a genuinely sweet arc. I really do.
It's wonderful. So overall, Act 3, basically the plan is, okay, we're gonna terrorize the town. So the solution here is very much kind of a barn builder. We're gonna build a fake town. We're gonna get everyone to kind of squash their bigotry and their racism. It's like, all right, but no Irish. All right, Irish. We'll let the
Oh my
Irish.
god. Again, like stuff like that, it is timeless, man. It's literally poking fun of racism. Like this shit does not age. I'm telling you, it's.
Let me ask you this: how do you feel about the Yiddish Native Americans? I think it's
okay. I'm glad you brought that up because it was literally in the back of my head as you were saying that. I do think out of everything in this movie, it's probably the thing that has aged the worst.
I've heard people bring up one other thing that has aged the worst, and I wonder if maybe it ages worse than the Native American thing. Because again, the Yiddish thing is like it's so silly. Like we've acknowledged.
I agree. I agree. It is so silly that I do think it gets a pass. But I feel like it goes right up to the line. It really goes right up to the line, I think.
So the problem I have with the Native American thing is less the whole the Yiddish Native American thing is more so is the fact that scene has no point because it's like Bart had a run in with the Native Americans, but didn't really say what the point of that whole encounter was.
Yeah.
But again, maybe that's the gag, though. However, a lot of people have. It sounds like people aren't crazy about how we treated the gay performers during the Buzzley Berkeley number.
I'm sorry, the what? Sorry?
The gay male performers. That's the one criticism I have.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. It wasn't really. It just seemed to be.
But you know what? It's so broad. So broad. It's kind of like the Native American thing. It's like those two things. I will say are definitely like, like they're elements where it's like if you were to do like a modern interpretation of this, I will say I'm just going to throw this name out there, Dragon. I love to fanboy out about this man. I will say if anyone were to do a modern day Blazing Saddles, it would be Jordan Peele.
Yeah,
it would be Jordan Peele. At
the bare minimum, we could get very achievably. Key and Peele sketch with the two of them doing the Blazing Saddles.
Yeah, there you go.
Minimum.
But I will say that those two specific gags are ones that you don't need. Lose them, drop them. You don't need them.
True. Okay, so town's gonna be terrorized. Everyone bands together. They build like the fake town, which again is it's impressive. And again, I love that it's kind of
impressive. It's ridiculous, and it's also like a great little we're teetering on the edge of the fourth wall at this point. You know what I mean?
And we see the cracks. Cracks are
we're like dipping our toe into the fourth wall deep end
before we take a sledgehammer to it. Also, I love the toll gag. The toll gag cracks me up so much as they build this giant.
Oh my god, it's fucking ridiculous.
The fact that the cowboy, the horses are stopping.
Literally, they make a point to show that there's a wide shot where they can just very easily maneuver around it.
Oh god, they're law abiding. Cowboy.
That might be Slim Pickens' funniest scene.
Where are you, crap load of dimes? Also, the gum gag. Oh god, the gag with the gum
and the panning shot.
Yeah,
so much good stuff.
Anyway, so the third act of this movie, essentially during the big fight scene, we go full freakazoid. We completely shatter the fourth wall, as in the fight carries from the movie that we're watching to the making of the movie we're watching, which is to the Warner Brothers backlot, and we're crashing Dom DeLuise as a director, essentially as kind of a Buzzley Berkeley type, I suppose, because he's only a wholly choreographed musical number, and he's walking these guys through it very strictly. And then during the second take, this Western brawl crashes through the set, and Slim Pickens.
I love how Dom DeLuise is he's not fucking with these people. You know what I mean? He's trying to give them a lip. This is a close set. What the hell are you doing?
Piss on you! I'm working for Mel Brooks.
That might be the best line in the whole movie.
Not in the face, and he listens to him. He punches him in the gut.
Okay, Z&K does make a good point. The gay dancers, it is playing on stereotypes for sure, but Yeah, it's not as bad as the late 90s, early 2000s. You are absolutely
That's
right.
the thing. So
That was the era I grew up in, and it was swimming in toxicity. So yeah, you are right.
I mean, here's the thing. Here's why that does. I'm just saying. I've heard that's the only thing I've really heard criticized about this movie in terms of like the few things that maybe don't hold up. That doesn't bother me because, okay, well, they're just we're not really drawing a full on point. They happen to be maybe a little fey, but we're not really drawing a point
And
to
I
like,
feel like
okay,
the
these guys
fact
are
that they are over the top, but I feel
yeah.
like it kind of adds to the gag.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, it feels more like, okay, Leslie Berkeley dancers. We're not really like getting their whole life story, so I don't really think we're really in danger of like, getting into I think people just made the leap and like, okay, well, yeah, sure, probably, yes.
Mhm.
Anyway, so we have this brawl. Then it escalates, and we go like, we have a gag where we have Hitler eating a sandwich in the commissary. Mel Brooks just loves working a Hitler gag in almost pretty much all these movies. I'd be shocked if I look back on Robin Hood Men in Tights and see if we actually have a Hitler gag in that movie. There probably is one at least in there somewhere.
Mhm.
But yeah, so we go all over the place with the Warner Brothers backlot. It's craziness, and again, all of this because they most likely they wrote themselves into a corner. It's like, well, where do we go from here? It's gonna be a predictable, boring Western ending. Well, I know one thing we can do. They fight, and then it goes out into the whole sound stage, and then what do we do ahead of the mark? He leaves the movie during the pie fight. He leaves that's where he
This
draws
is
the line.
perfect. This is fucking perfect. It's like it's taking the ridiculousness of drawing the fight out into the backlot, and then just like fucking elevating it like even further, like going even further with it.
How can it get sillier and more meta than this? Well, we're gonna go to the movie itself. He's gonna buy Raisinets, and he's gonna go in the theater, and then he's gonna see, oh, Black Bart's followed me.
God.
Then I love this. There's no good reason for him to step out of that movie theater aside from like, well, we need to end the movie. Steps out of there, and then the little shootout there, he gets shot in the crotch, and then and it goes down, and then we have this really sweet, again, admittedly through the meta context here, really sweet moment where, okay, there's the Waco kids, like two buddies going to see a movie. I sure hope it has a happy ending. Most optimistic, sweet line Gene Wilder could say. They go in the movie, and then they end up, and I love this. When we check the last shot of the movie, well, right before the last shot of the movie, the Waco kid still has the popcorn from the movie. So somehow, like, oh god, it's like that thing where you look in a mirror and you have like infinite like reflections. It's like they've gone to the movie to watch themselves, and somehow they've leaped from the theater into the. Oh, it's great.
And then the last shot, they ride off into the sunset.
But not the way you think. Yeah. In style, in Hollywood style. They hand off the horses, and they drive off in a limo.
And I really do. What I love about that gag so much is like I love the last line where it's like, "Where are you headed? Nowhere special.
I always wanted to
Nowhere
go there.
special. That's where I always wanted to go." And then you instantly just like totally just like backpedal on any sort of pathos that line would have.
Yeah, I mean, it's a nice line to go out on. Then we have this perfect visual, Yeah.
Okay, so let's see for impact. So yeah, Teddy, with the remake of Blazing Saddles and the Jordan Peele thing, I don't think Jordan Peele should straight up like remake Blazing Saddles. But I do think that he could make a movie that's like kind of like if he were to make a more comedic movie, like go full in on the comedy with his directing style, I could see him pulling something out like a Blazing Saddles where it does push the lines.
I don't know if he'd do another Western after Nope, though.
I don't know. I don't know about another Western, especially because it would probably be too similar to Blazing Saddles. But I mean, Nope did prove that he is good in that genre, Dragon.
It's the thing. I mean, do you think he'd want to do it though?
I don't know. I don't think he'd want to do a full on remake, but I don't know. Anyways, Okay, so yeah, let's talk legacy, man. Impact.
Yeah. So again, this movie stands the test of time. It's had a huge impact on the culture in terms of again, we mentioned Chappelle briefly, and I think the idea of like every black comic, again, Richard Pryor having wrote this thing, I'm sure also helps. In part, wrote this thing helps. It's just the fact that this thing, it lit a fire, man, for everyone. It just showed you guys, we can, let's get irreverent. Okay, let's push the boundaries. Let's not be afraid to call it as it is and just have a good time doing it. Because this movie, at its core, it's a wonderfully good time, and the themes are real and they're there, and you'll be hard pressed to find someone to disagree with them. And even if they do disagree with them, they're gonna be laughing their heads off whether they know it's for the right reason or not. They're gonna have a good time with this movie. And again, there is pathos. There's really good acting. There's, again, Clavon Little and Gene Wilder. Their chemistry is it's chef's kiss, man. It's great. Again, you won't find a bad performance in this movie at all, even though I don't think it's Madeline Kahn's finest. She's, for the role that she's given, she's doing that role the way you want it. I just, again, this, when I look back on it, because again, Mel Brooks, he really lucked out in '74. He really lucked out during this 50-year period here, where, hey, he's got Blazing Saddles, which really, like, oh my god, people are now knowing the name Mel Brooks big time, aside from the guy who did the producers, and then Young Frankenstein, where it's like
It's basically like his equivalent to Spielberg's '93.
Yes,
Yeah,
it is
yeah,
exactly
totally,
that.
totally.
Yes. So again, this film, I think,
except both movies were probably actually fun to work on. Although I feel like he probably felt a lot more pressure with Young Frankenstein, just because that movie is so accurate to the source material.
Oh,
so I imagine that was probably more stressful between the two.
There's an old adage with Blazing Saddles, and it's very simple. It's very simple. It's that you could never get away doing Blazing Saddles today, and I think that's absolutely right. Because now that you wouldn't be able to get away with the N word as much as you could in this movie. And again, it was a concern in writing this thing. Where, like, if they censor that, we have no movie, because you need that in there. Mm-hmm. And I think there's truth to that. This is very much a testament to they don't make them like this anymore in the best of ways. Blazing Saddles is a classic, and we're talking about 50 years later, not because we need something to talk about, because it's like this thing warrants discussion. It warrants like saying, like, tipping in the old Western sense, tipping the hat to it. It's tipping the hat to a Western legend. And is this film?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think this is like up there with the all-time best comedies ever made, at least the ones I've seen. I mean, there's some blank spots in my watch list, but I mean, just everything from the production design to the actual social commentary, which is just so freaking razor sharp and tiny. Like this, it's genuinely shocking to me how well this movie holds up and is all like very much almost ahead of its time with how it's calling stuff out.
Yeah,
and I think more people need to watch this movie and really appreciate what it's actually saying about how ridiculous racism actually is. So, yeah, like I said, it's really interesting, my experience with this movie, because it's like, I'm sure that I've only seen the TV cut of it before this watch, and I'm sure that I haven't seen the full thing. Like, Dragon, I knew that it ended in a pie fight. I did not. My memory on it having the Warner Brothers like breaking the fourth wall shit is absolutely like all my memory of the ending was the pie fight stuff. That was it. So yeah, the ending was a genuine surprise.
But you don't know, Hedley Lamar, he leaves the movie.
right, exactly. Such a Muppets gag, honestly.
It is.
All right, my opinion is that if you watch this and don't realize it's mocking racism, I don't know, man.
that would be the test, wouldn't it? That'd be like the Archie Bunker test to some degree.
It would be.
Or I guess the Nixon watching Archie Bunker test.
Oh God, can you imagine like some fucking piece of shit watching this movie and actually like laughing with the racists? God.
Look, I'm save that hand card. That's hysterical.
Okay, Dragon, you know what character I'm specifically thinking of?
What are you specifically thinking of, Tiki?
Maddie from Ted.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Right?
Yeah.
I mean, that guy, he does have layers to him, but I don't know. I could see him getting the wrong
At
message.
least on the first watch, you might need to explain that. No. Oh, right. Oh, okay.
All right, so yeah, Teddy, I think your sentiment honestly kind of sums stuff up. Do we have anything else you want to say, Dragon?
Well, I think we should thank the folks.
Of course, yeah. So yeah, obviously, big thanks to Z and K, Code Geass, Theme Park Priest, Little Blue, Teddy, and I believe that's it, right, Dragon? I didn't leave anyone out. I think
Now,
that's it.
okay, so Teddy, Z and K, Little Blue, Theme Park Priest,
Code
Code
Geass.
Geass Anime Fan. Yeah,
Okay.
that's everybody. We got everyone.
Okay. All right. Well, that's all for now, folks. Until next time, when we further educate ourselves and learn the world's not simply black or white, but brimming with color as well as character.
On the next installment of Black History Heroes.
You get out of here with that side of bread! I'm not eating no damn bread! I'm here for my steak!
My 72-ounce steak!